How are we doing, everybody? Today we're ranking the best right backs on FC 25. We're working our way down the pitch. We started with the strikers, did left wings, right wings, cams, centre mid, CDMs. We did left backs yesterday, and now we are here today with a right back tier list. Two more videos after this one, a centre back tier list, then of course a goalkeeper one. So we've built up a tier list with best in the game as the highest tier, S++, S tier, and A++ at the bottom. With, I think there's about 45 or 46 or so right backs. There's some centre backs that can play as a right back, as a full back. But we've got a big chunk of right backs here to rank, right? Let's get into it. Do you want coins to be able to afford the best players on the game? Yeah. Head on over to u7buy.com for the cheapest, fastest, and most reliable coins available. U7buy is supported by some of the biggest content creators and also has the most positive reviews. Use my code Davis for 8% off at checkout and also enjoy up to 4 million free coins in bonuses. Once again, head on over to u7buy.com and use code Davis at checkout for 8% off your order. Links are in the description or the pinned comment down below. We always like to start with the best in the game tier just to get a basis of how the tier list is going to pan out. And for me, 96, the new Conference League winners, Reece James, for me has to be best in the game. And also I've got this 96 Hakimi, also confidently in my opinion in the best in the game. Reece James, Hakimi, very happy with those two, and I feel like for now they're the only two I'm 100% confident on. Of course, the lower down the list we go, we may, you know what, no, whilst we're here, Thuram, there we go. These are the three that I'm really confident on being in the best in the game tier. Reece James, Hakimi, I like a lot. If I had to choose one, I don't know, I might just lean towards Reece James, but it's pretty close. And I think it really comes down to the fact he's got an anticipate, whereas Hakimi doesn't. It's really that close. I think the incisive can be so nice from that right back role, whether you play him as a wing back or a full back. With his kind of bigger type of body type and 97 strength as a full back, I completely understand it. And as for Thuram as well, yes, his stats may not be as glamorous. They may not be, he may not be as good on paper per se, but trust me guys, when I say that this Thuram card is top notch. Now, we don't include evolutions in the rankings, but if you have put the Bruiser Plus on him from the paid season pass from the season that's about to end, then he's just that much better. I have currently played with him. I'm looking at him on my screen right now. 101 games with him as my fullback, and he's fantastic. Definitely not a wing back. He's 100% for me going to have to be your fullback. Now, heading on over to Jed Spence, I feel like if we were to rank right backs, I do think Pedro Porro, and I kind of want to do this in order. I think Pedro Porro and Archie Gray are both in the S++. Archie Gray, very versatile, can play DM centre back, but he'll be great fullback as well. Pedro Porro I can see as much more of a wing back with a whipped pass. I do think they are that step above Jed Spence. I think the Spence card is S+, and Gusto, is Gusto S+ or S++? Look, I've not used this 96 card, but going off of my experience off his earlier card that he had, I can't remember what it was. I think it was also, yeah, a Conference League like road to the final card. He was just absolutely great. I really liked his body type because he has got, if I remember correctly, that lean body type, which is nice. So I'm going to say Gusto S++ tier. I'm pretty happy with the basis of this and how it looks. This Steven Moreira card honestly looks absolutely top notch. I'd be happy to have him in the S++. Now, he's originally a centre back, but he can play as a right back. He's got a relentless, he's got a block, a bruiser regular, he's got all of the playstyle pluses for me that is perfect for a fullback. And when I ranked this card in the MLS and Saudi League TOTS tier list, I had him, I just completely ignored the fact he could play right back, and I had him, I think, in the S tier or something. It might have been S+, but now that I know that he can play as a fullback right back, he's definitely S++. Yeah, fantastic card. Playstyle pluses are awesome. For me, I'd honestly rather him than a Jed Spence, so I'll say the Steven Moreira goes into the S++ tier. Moving on over to Team of the Year Carvajal, who's a lot more on the outdated side. I say that it is a Team of the Year. You kind of expect them. You should be able to use them throughout the whole year. Look, he's still good, but I think he's just not S++, which is kind of where you'd want to expect the concept of a Team of the Year card to be throughout a lot of the year, is at least S++, but I do think Carvajal, unfortunately, is just kind of dropped to around that S plus tier. Lucy Bronze, I'm happy to have Lucy Bronze in the S plus tier as well, and I'll include her team of the year in that too. Now I will say the stats marginally better on her TOTS card. Now her team of the year card has got the long throw playstyle plus, which might be the most useless playstyle plus I've ever seen, but I will say that incisive plus can make up for it. As I mentioned earlier, really nice to use from that right back role, so I'd say, you know, incisive maybe evens it out, but yeah, I'd be happy to have Lucy Bronze in the S plus tier. Leticia, I'm going to say S tier. I do think she's just that jump down from Lucy Bronze. Main reasoning behind that, look, you have to use her as a fullback. Not really recommended as a wingback because anticipate, intercept, definitely use her as a fullback. Maybe could have done with a bruiser or something like that, just a regular one, but still, look, I just think I would just rather a Lucy Bronze TOTS card than a Leticia, so I'll have her in the S tier. Frimpong, this Frimpong is either S++ or S+ for me, and I think it would be kind of rude not to have him in the S+, mainly due to the fact of his play styles. Playstyle pluses, I've smashed it, although I would say I think 700k is a lot. Is a lot, full stop. It's way too much to be paying for him. Now with someone like Frimpong, I think he's more of a wing back. You could play him as a fullback with the anticipate, but I think with his smaller body type, 5'8", he's not the strongest with 80 strength. I think it's just better off to go for a wing back position. He's got a technical and a quick step, and you're still going to defend as a wing back where the anticipate will come in huge. So I'm going to say Frimpong S++ tier. Sam's in the S tier, and I think the S tier is going to be kind of filled with lots of those kind of cheaper TOTS cards that are good, but just not quite that jump up to the S+ in my opinion. This Roddenai card, I do think though, is more S+ than S tier. I think this Roddenai card may be a little bit tricky to fit into the team when it comes to chemistry, etc. But he's got some nice play styles, maybe missing an anticipate, but as a wing back, you can't really complain. And yeah, looks a really nice card, so I'll say Roddenai in the S+ tier. Ona Batlle as well. S+, we ranked her in the left back tier list because she can play left back with a 5-star weak foot, so I'm going to say Ona Batlle in the S+ tier. Crystal Dunn, did not mean to put her in the S++. She's either S tier or she's either A++. I think the awkward thing with this Crystal Dunn card is working out where her best position is. She can play centre mid, right back, right mid, or left wing. She's 5-star, and ranking as a right back. She's either going to be a wing back or an attacking wing back. And I think with a rapid, a relentless, she's got no anticipate. Although she's got decent strength, she's 5'1". So this Crystal Dunn, we're going to say A++, just because she doesn't have an anticipate, which I feel like would be the minimum if you were to use her as a wing back with her being 5'1". So now you're kind of forced to have to use her as an attacking wing back, which is a really rare player role for your right back in itself. Many people just use wing backs or attacking wing backs, etc. Flashback Quadrado, I'm going to say S tier. Honestly, I wish he was maybe a little bit better defensively. I think he's more of an attacking wingback or a right mid and a free back. After all, his primary position is actually a right mid. Kenny Lala, who's been out for a wee while, and I would probably say I'd be happy in having him in the S+ tier rather than the S tier. I'd personally just rather Lala as my right back than Quadrado. Trent Alexander-Arnold may be a little bit of a trickier one to rank, but I think due to the fact of his body type alone, I'm happy to have him in the S+ tier. He's 5'11", I'm pretty sure, yeah, 5'11", and anticipate on him the incisive, which makes a lot of sense. So Trent Alexander-Arnold in the S+ tier. Di Lorenzo, S tier for me. Dumfries, as a fullback, guys, it's so hard not to say S++ as a fullback. Of course, Frimpong for me is more of a wing back, but for me, Dumfries has to be your fullback. He's 6'2". I feel as if you'd be almost silly, with all due respect, almost silly not to use this card as a fullback. I mean, yeah, 6'2", 98 strength, 97 base physical is just ridiculous. A bruiser plus, a relentless, like honestly a perfect fullback. So for me, honestly, dude, I'm trying to debate with myself, do I even have him in the best in the game? If we've got Thuram as a fullback in the best in the game, I'm gonna be content with Dumfries in the S++, but he honestly has a shout for best in the game as well. But I'm happy with Thuram. I would still probably just rather Thuram. I'm going to do this Balde SBC next, and I think S++ tier. He is a left footer, so it might feel a little bit less unnatural. He does have a 5-star weak foot though, but they'll still try prioritize his stronger foot, so you kind of have to maybe force it on your weaker foot or, you know, reposition the body. But I still think Balde would get a shift done at right back if you have another left back that can only play as a left back. Look, in the left back tier list, he was ranked in the S++, and we'll do the same in the right back tier list as well. Koundé, S+, yeah, it's either S or S+. I'm more than happy with S+ for Koundé, and I think as a fullback is the main thing with him, with an anticipate there, and I think with a body type, I quite like the fullback role with the bruiser and the anticipate. So yeah, I'm pretty confident with him in the S+ tier. Cancelo, I think in the left back tier list, we had him in the S+, and I think it's the same for right back. But I honestly feel like this card had potential to be S++. My biggest red flag with this João Cancelo card, guys. The playstyles, perfect. Incisive from deep is awesome. A jockey, a bruiser, an intercept. You see that he's 6 foot with these stats. And I asked you, what player role do you think is best for this João Cancelo? With an incisive and a bruiser, do you think a fullback, or do you think a wingback, or an attacking wingback? For me, I think a wingback, because I think an attacking wingback does not make sense to have an incisive as your attacking wingback. You want to use the incisive a little bit further back down the line, and then a bruiser for those defensive capabilities. And I don't quite think with no anticipate, you want to use him as a fullback. So I think meeting in the middle, a wingback would be perfect, in my opinion, for the João Cancelo, and they didn't give him a wingback player role. Frustrating. Cafu, I think is S+, maybe could debate on the more outdated side, but I'm still more than happy to have a team of year Cafu in the S+ tier. Icon, as a left back, we ranked in the S tier, but of course comparing to other right backs, which is what the point of a tier list is, comparing to other right backs, he is naturally a right back, although a 5-star weak foot, he's a right footer, but it'll just feel more natural, if you will, using him on the right anyway. I'm just happy to say that this Icon is also the S+ tier. Zambrotta, that's tricky, you know. I think I'm going to say S+ for Zambrotta as well. Zanetti. Now, Zanetti or Zambrotta, I'm kind of leaning more towards Zanetti in the S tier. I don't know, I feel like him and Zambrotta, in fact, let's do a comparison. I think I'm happy with them on the same tier. So you compare them, Zambrotta's got better pace, worse defending, same dribbling. Look, very, very fractional, very fractional. Obviously, stats are only one thing. I think one thing that's more important than stats is play styles at this stage of a game. And with an anticipate and an intercept, honestly say I'll just edge towards Zanetti's play styles, but I will say that 5-star weak foot can be quite nice when you're playing out from the back. So I'm going to call it evens. We'll have them in the S+ tier. Jonathan Klaus, S+ tier. Pavard is S tier. Now, he used to be, for me, S+, as a right back, full back, but of course, time has gone on since then, and with the addition of many new cards, I feel as if he's just dropped back a little bit in the power curve. So I'm going to have Pavard still in the S tier. The body type as a fullback is going to be nice, but there's just a lot better options in this current day and age. Carlos Alberto, I'd say S+. I think he's kind of like a similar case to Cafu. Really, really good. One of the best right backs 2 or 3 months ago. But of course, as time's gone on, the power curve has changed, and it's probably about time that we had a new Carlos Alberto card. Just to confirm that this is his most recent one, right? I'm confident that this is his most recent, yeah, it is his most recent promo card. Now, of course, he's a centre back, but he can play as a right back. For me, a fullback with that anticipate plus, but also that relentless, is a fantastic combination for your defensive right back, because he's not going to run out of stamina. He's going to defend his head off, and he's going to be able to last the full 90 minutes and more if necessary. Carlos Alberto, I'm still saying, deserves to be in the S+ tier. Benny Blanco, I'm going to say S tier. As an Arsenal fan, I thought I was wearing my Arsenal kit. That was yesterday. As an Arsenal fan, no one was expecting this card to get upgraded because he was released right before Real Madrid. And I mean, look, Ben White looks really nice, but I think he probably needed another upgrade or two for me to want to have him on the same tier as those in the S+ tier. Lucas Vazquez, I'd say, is the same case. I think this card had a lot of potential, of course, before Declan Rice came along. I'm going to say S tier for Vazquez, who was, for me, a lot more of an attacking right back than a defensive one with his body type. Philipp Lahm, I'm gonna say S tier. Look, you see Philipp Lahm anticipate long ball, but my one issue, and it's a pretty alarming issue, is for me a similar case to João Cancelo. For me, Philipp Lahm is more of a wing back. He can only play as a fullback or a false back. And false back, I mean, to be fair, I'd actually say false back is his best position, but how many people actually use a false back? So many people use fullbacks. That's the meta, unfortunately, is fullbacks and a wingback too. Fullbacks and wingbacks. So false back is a selective one. Look, if you use a formation that requires a false back, Lahm, S+. But for the general community and you know, just generalized in everything, the fact he doesn't have a wing back is frustrating. I'd say he's S tier. Same case as Cancelo, but I do think Cancelo is just that step above Philipp Lahm, and I don't think too many people are debating that. Ola Aina, I'm going to say S tier. I think he could have done with a better playstyle plus than a long throw, and then otherwise, I just think Lucy Bronze, who's also got the long throw on her team of the year, is a little bit better. So I'd say the same logic applied to Lahm and Cancelo. I'd say Aina is that step below. Christensen. Now, Christensen, to be fair, could have a shout for the S+, but I still think in general he's a little bit closer to the S tier than the S+. But out of all of the cards in the S tier, I think he's probably got the best shout for a S+ tier card. Bruiser Anticipate is awesome. Fullback, he's 6'2", so honestly, I'd be vibing with a fullback with this Christensen card. I think he was available. Was he available in Rush? I feel like he was available in Rush. Let's see. Yeah, he was available in Rush. I'm gonna say Christensen. You know what? Let's be nice. I'm going to say S+. I think he's got more meta-ness, if you will. He's got more of a meta going for him than the others in the S tier. Carpenter, S tier for me. Rico Lewis, I'm going to say S tier. This card could have been absolutely banging like S+ if City were to win the FA Cup, but I guess we'll never know. Team of the season, Simmerkin, a centre back that I do think is best as a right back. Fullback, I think he's S tier. He falls in the same category as someone like Leticia and Sams, in my opinion. Looking at this, would I rather a Christensen or a Simmerkin? I'd rather a Christensen just, but do I think they're in the tier? And I know we just put Christensen in the S+. I'm going to make my mind up about that after we fill in the final players here. Kyle Walker, I just feel like the fact that it's Kyle Walker, for me, has to have him in the S+. Yes, he's outdated. Yes, he's got one playstyle plus. Yes, his stats may not be insane, but yes, it's also Kyle Walker, right? There is an evolution available that many people will be doing. Put him into this Evo and you're cooking. Like, yeah, this Evo probably makes him an S++ card, in my opinion. Kyle Walker, still his best card. I'm going to say S+ tier. Antonio Silva, I'm going to say, for birthday, I'm going to say S tier. I think she's a great cheaper option for maybe a Road to Glory or something. An Intercept, a Bruiser Plus on her, 5-star, 5-star. She's only about 20,000 coins, I'm pretty sure. So I'm going to have her in the S tier. I think a great card if you guys, as I said, are on a budget or on a Road to Glory. I'm not going to try pronounce this name. Is it just Ratiu? Is that it, Ratiu? Let me know if I am pronouncing that incorrectly. I'm not the best with names, as you guys could tell. But 5-star skills, 4-star weak foot, great playstyle pluses. Definitely enough for the S tier. Yavru, on the other hand, though, I used him in the Team of the Season Xavi Simons Cup, and he was not him. He was just not him. He was frustrating to use. A++ tier for me. Joe Gomez as a fullback, S tier, and I think fullback might be his only role as a right back. 90 rated Mycon, A++. We've got the 93 in the S+ tier, but the 90 is just massively outdated. Lilian Thuram, his Thunderstruck 90 rated one, I'm going to say still does enough to be in the S tier. Now, we aren't including evolutions in the tier list, guys, which means Bowie is going to be going in the A++ tier, but one thing that Bowie does have going for him, and this goes for many of the cards that can fit into this evolution. If you put Bowie into this evolution, I'd put him in the tier above. Same goes for Kyle Walker. So a non-evoed card, put them into this evolution, and they'd go up a tier in my opinion. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my final product, and I'm pretty happy with it. Out of all of the positions, I think there was probably the least amount of right backs here so far that we've done in this series. I'd probably say this is the one I'm most confident with, but of course, there'll definitely be some people disagreeing with that. I've got Reece James, Hakimi, and Thuram in the best in the game. Porro, Archie Gray, Gusto, Moreira. I'm not going to name every player, but the Frimpong, Dumfries, Balde, top right backs, S++ tier. Moving down to the S+, it's just that step below. You've got some Lucy Bronze, a Carvajal, a Spensphere, who is, I feel like, just that step below Porro and Gray, and closer to those in the S+ than those in the S++ tier. Some of the more outdated but meta cards, if you will, like a Carlos Alberto and a Cafu. I think Christensen was available as a rush objective. Honestly, I think this is a really underrated card. So Christensen, for me, does enough to be in the S+. The S tier, some cheap Bs here, Ratiu, Antonio Silva, Simmerkin, great as a fullback, Carpenter, Aina, etc. That's the S tier. And then the A++, Crystal Dunn, just awkward and very one-dimensional. Yavru, disappointing. Icon, very outdated. Bowie as well, also very outdated. Ladies and gentlemen, hope you guys did enjoy, and I'll see you all in the next one. Centre back tier list next, alright? See you later.